Yeah.
Yes, if y'all can't see the chat, please feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat, where you're from, what you do, and all that kind of stuff so we can say hello.
Yeah, I kind of sent a quick message. So I'm Alyssa, and I am an electrical journeyman. Right now, I'm in between I've been in the field for about seven going on years. So right now, the last position I had was an electrical manager, a project manager, estimator. It was a smaller company. So I hired on as a project manager, but with the smaller companies, the bigger tasks you have because they only have you, that person. So hired on as a project manager, ended up being branch manager, estimator, project manager, general foreman, all of it. So I'm not doing that right now. I'm in between now, deciding if I want to go back into the field and do like the construction, or I may possibly go towards electrical design engineering sort, because there's some ladies in NAWIC for HP engineering that have talked to me, and some other places. So that's me. That's what I'm about.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Alyssa. Well, it is 3 o'clock. Oh, here we go. We got some stuff going on in the chat. Welcome, everyone. It's super exciting to have everybody here. We're going to go ahead and get started with our tradeswomen industry panel, our WIC Week pre-kickoff. I'm super excited for Women in Construction Week this year. 25 years that NAWIC as a association has been celebrating Women in Construction Week, so that's really awesome. But I'm going to get started. I'm going to introduce to you our panelists for today. So, Deila Ray. Deila Ray is in Columbia, Missouri area. She has a decade of field work experience in the welding industry. And Deila Ray, who is now a welding instructor, has worked across the United States on projects like compressor stations, pre and post ethanol, food processing, and water treatment and wastewater treatment facilities. Through her knowledge and experiences, Deila has aimed her passion for welding at the youth of our country in hopes of being able to show students how much pride is in the skilled trades. To empower another woman and our youth to learn a trade is the best torch I can pass along, is what Deila says. So, welcome to Deila.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Next is Janelle Dijon. Janelle is a member of IBEW Local 130 in New Orleans, where she began as an electrical apprentice in 2001. She is now a master electrician with over 20 years of electrical experience and enjoys lots of pride in all the construction projects she worked on throughout the greater New Orleans area. She works at the Louis Armstrong New Orleans International Airport as an electrician and is also the lead electrical instructor at NOTEP Trade School, where she is rewarded constantly by participating in the development of local youth as they prepare for their own adventures in the construction industry. She founded NOLA Women in Skilled Trades and Manufacturing Careers to take part in addressing the needs of current and future women in those fields. Janelle is the co-chair of the National Task Force on Tradeswomen Issues and is a member of the NAWIC New Orleans chapter number 17. She is motivated to work with local, state, and national individuals and organizations focused on solid solutions-based approaches to tradeswomen's issues. Welcome, Janelle.
Thank you, Allison.
And last but not least is Alyssa Pinnell. Hello, all. My career began the first time my dad taught me to use power tools at the ripe age of, whoops, 9. Sorry, I missed that. At the ripe age of 9. Wow. Little did I know that this event was a foreshadow of what I was destined to do in my adult life. Today, she's the electrical assistant branch manager for a mid-sized turnkey contracting company out of Missouri. SMSI Group, or Springfield Mechanical Services Incorporated, is the name of the business. Her electrical journey began when she got out of the Marine Corps in 2016. There was no money in her bank account and she needed a way to live. So her dad convinced his boss at the time to let her hire on at Bill's Electric to be her dad's electrical apprentice. She was the first woman he had ever hired for a field position, and everyone had their doubts. During her first couple of years, she was convinced that the construction field was just temporary until she found a profession that she'd rather do. Her 4th year as an apprentice, still training under her dad, she realized that this is the place for her. Whether it was going to be electrical or just general contracting, she loves this industry and couldn't see herself anywhere else. In 2020, she tested for her electrical journeyman license in Oklahoma and passed, which opened up a vast amount of opportunities. Eventually, she was lead electrician on multiple large projects, but was looking for a bigger role. And the company she's at now opened a satellite branch in Springdale, Arkansas. She knew of the company because she had many friends that worked for the HVAC and knew the electrical division manager. The added pop on Indeed for electrical project manager for SMSI, so she called some of the buddies to acquire information. She'd been with the previous company for 6 years, and it was a tough decision to choose to resign. Her 5-year plan had been to become an estimator or project manager, then branch manager. That goal was hit much quicker. So awesome. So she set new long-term goals. Her new goal is to sustain, mentor, and learn as much as possible about all aspects of construction and as much as possible about electrical. Welcome, Alyssa.
Hello. Hey, everybody.
All right. Wow, those are some impressive bios, ladies. I'm fully impressed by you guys. I'm super excited that you're here. So, the first question I'm going to ask you guys today, I'm going to direct it. We'll start with Janelle. Janelle, when did you first realize that you were a leader?
When did I first realize I was a leader? Well, in my own personal life as a mom, I think being that in that role from a young age kind of prepared me to be responsible for someone. And in doing so with that, I knew that that was my ultimate priority. And so I was the leader in my home first. And being on the job, seeing leadership, when I realized that I was able to do some of the same things that I knew that I was being taught to do, that showed me that I was picking up on the skills that were needed to complete the task. And when you see things come on, when you accomplish one phase of a job and move on to another without any problems, you're leading the work, you're leading the charge. And when someone steps away and that opportunity is given to you to take the reins and you do a good job and you get that at a girl or whatever, a little bit at a time, it all adds up.
Awesome. Awesome. Alyssa, are you able to unmute and tell us, when did you first realize you were a leader?
So this sounds funny, but like in school, it was my 2nd or 3rd grade class. We had like a role play kind of, and it was a business, and we all through application processes and interviews ended up in positions, and I ended up being the owner or boss of our little popcorn stand. And that's kind of, I think it's funny because it was like I was in 2nd grade, but it was the popcorn stand. No.
That's awesome. That's a great story. I love that. I love that. Deila, when did you first realize you were a leader?
I think it's kind of the same approach as both Alyssa and Janelle. When we were younger, you kind of see that happening. I would say it was my sophomore year of high school, and specifically my sophomore year because I was a volleyball and basketball player, and I was the varsity captain my sophomore year in volleyball. And so as a sophomore, that was a very big role to fulfill, as on the varsity team. And so starting out there, it really, geared me toward the mindset that I have the abilities to lead. And then from there, as getting into the industry and welding, once I started realizing my abilities and my capabilities and the work that I could do, kind of was a fast track to leadership. I felt like, once you start to have success in the work you do, and you thrive in it and you enjoy what you do, that in itself can kind of innately lead you to leadership. And so I think it was kind of just gearing me towards it from the beginning, whether I wanted it or not. And it's something that with its roles that came along with it, I came to really appreciate. I found that I had more confidence in myself. I found that I had more confidence in just the work that I did in general. So I'm the same. I found that leadership role in myself in high school, and as I've continued through my career, each building block has built that leadership role even bigger in myself. And who knows how much further you go with it in life, but it's just something that kind of happens. And if you acknowledge it, I feel like the possibilities of leadership can be endless.
Fantastic. I couldn't agree more. That's awesome. So, Deila, since we ended with you, what roles do you fulfill as a leader right now?
Right now, so I'm a welding instructor. So with being a welding instructor, I'm coaching, I'm mentoring, I'm goal setting, I'm delegating. There's a lot of roles that I play, and that role happens over and over again individually with each student as, work is happening. And then aside from being a welding instructor, I'm a multi-business owner. So I own a piercing studio, and my husband and I own and operate a welding fabrication business, Alpha Duo LLC. So the roles that I fulfill as a leader are pretty vast. And like I said, you kind of gain more momentum as you continue in a career path. And so I found those roles continue to grow. With being your own business owner and running a business, those roles are deep. You have a lot of behind the scenes work that you also have to do. But I suppose that can also go hand in hand with being a welding instructor. It's not just in these booths behind me where the coaching and delegating happens. They have a life too, our students, and they're people as well, and they experience a lot of things. And so oftentimes we'll be in the classroom dealing with other things that are happening in life. So I'm a friend even as a leader. I'm a teacher as a leader. I'm a wife at home with my husband. We lead our house. So that role as a leader is everywhere in my life. And I see it as one that's constantly growing in the things that I do.
Awesome. Awesome. That's why I like you so much, because you're just awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That's shared.
Janelle, what roles do you currently fulfill as a leader? Oh, you're on mute.
Oh, okay. Most recently, I've become the co-chair of the National Task Force on Tradeswomen Issues. And in that organization, it definitely requires leadership, right? We are working with many different partners from around the nation at all those different levels, from local, regional, state, national levels, working a lot with the Women's Bureau and other governmental agencies to try to affect change in like the policy part, like where are we starting at for what's happening before any contracts, just from the idea, from the need of things that we're needing all across this country to be developed, where are women fitting into the discussions on the front end? And so that while I'm doing this work locally in New Orleans, teaching in front of children, young adults, women, men of all ages, that that's helping to reach the community, but we also need to be able to affect change on the other side of things and take action. So most recently we had the Trade Women Build Nation conference with NAB2 in Vegas back in October. And that was such an awesome opportunity to see the amount of women that are equal in their ability to lead the charge, much as what we're doing. And you can see the power and strength in the numbers that we can affect change with the force that we do have. So leadership for me, much like Diala just said, is coming from home, it's coming from the instruction that I'm doing, it's coming from working within WIC in my own chapter or at the regional level of different conferences and things that I've been going to, that things are being poured into me constantly, and I'm trying to lead the charge with along with a bunch of other amazing women, much like y'all.
That is so awesome. I'm hearing kind of a common thread with you ladies, that, you know, leadership, it's just who you are, right? It's not, you know, it's just part of who you are. It's like in the fiber of your being that you're doing just what you said, take charge and leading in the way that you can, and touching as many people as you can from where you are. I love that.
I think it's just needed. It's so very needed. It's almost like if you show up, somebody's gonna find something for you to do. So it might be a little bit like it or not, because the work needs to be done. There's many affronts that we have to face, and there's room for everybody to do a little something or a lot of something.
That's awesome. Awesome. Okay, Alyssa, what roles do you fulfill as a leader?
Well, so let me think. This is my, I want to say, third year in WIC. I moved down here in 2020, so that's when I started. And, you know, over the years, I've listened and paid attention to at meetings and gatherings and everything else of still trying to find there's all the levels that we need to, you know, have forward movement of women out here. We need Janelle going and fighting for these, you know, these places that have to be filled. And there's still a lot of places when in construction that feel a woman does not fit that gap, you know. And then Delia, you know, she's out there physically teaching, you know, Janelle's physically teaching. And so there's those fronts, and then still on the front line of actually seeing, you know, the women on the job site is where I've been the last 3 years. And still, you know, and this is how Corey Wilson now, she got me. She saw me on a job site. I was on her job site. She's a project manager. She's big for Crossland, and she's huge in WA. She bombarded me, you know, hey, come to lunch with me, because still seeing the women show up on a job site and carry their tools in with a guy is unheard of. You know, so it's like we're pushing these different levels of getting us in there. And I feel like over the last, you know, 3 or 4 years, I've been on the front lines trying to push the on the site with tools in hands. So I had a couple girls electricians under me on one of the job sites I was on. And one of them is for sure still an electrician. So it's three or 4 years later. So we got her still. I heard there's another girl that hired on there. So there's another, you know, so it's, and seeing them go through, you know, I still hear they're in school and getting ready to test and everything else. So knowing that front line, you know, is growing is kind of, I feel like, where I've been as a leader, kind of trying to, I'll say, bombard women to be like, hey, did you know what you're doing is special? You should join us. Like, I'm huge about, and I'm also big about I think she had mentioned a career fair Janelle had, is getting youth. The Waltons do a lot in Northwest Arkansas. So they have like a science camp, museum, whatever. And over the summer, they had an all women's, all girls science and technology, arts and mathematics. So the STEM is now STEAM with the A for art is in there. And so I did a like presentation there for the girls, and that. So I'm all about finding it on the front line and instilling the confidence to be like, walk up there, like you have a place. So that's how I feel about my place in leadership.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You're leading by example. You are the example. Yes, I love it. I absolutely love it. So, Alyssa, what were a couple of pivotal times during your career that opened up the door for you to be a leader?
So transferring, I had been my dad's apprentice for 4 years. We worked for a big company in the 4-state area. But I was gonna be his helper for probably ever. So transferring was the really only option I had to try to, expand my career. So whenever I chose to transfer and took that shot and just moved to Northwest Arkansas, I got put in a higher position of like lead electrician of large commercial projects that you can see from the busy highway. So I would say that having to suck up the comfortability of working under a parent to just venture out on your own would be the pivotal point. One of the
Yeah. Well, and yeah, that had to take a lot of guts to do because I'm sure it was pretty, yeah, like you said, comfortable. It was a very comfortable position, but that was also something you realized you're like, I don't want to be comfortable. I want to get out there. Yeah. Yeah. I want more than that. And so good for you for making that choice for you. That's awesome. I love it. I love it. Janelle, same question. Share with us some pivotal times that opened the door for you to be a leader.
All right, just a few. Because in construction, we're pivoting all the time. As every job, you don't know if there's another job for you to land on or if you're gonna have to get creative. But for pivotal for me, I was trained in the union, IBW. I have family members that work on houses and things, but not in the commercial construction realm. So I was out there doing my thing through the union contractors. I would say one of the first pivotal moments that leads you to thinking, what the hell am I going to do, is when you complete your apprenticeship. Before I completed the apprenticeship, there was Hurricane Katrina that struck this area and devastated everything. And through my last year of apprenticeship in turmoil, and I was like, wait, am I going to move to another city to finish my apprenticeship? What is this going to look like? I did come back to New Orleans and complete my apprenticeship in 2006. And from there, with all the work that was available to be done to rebuild the city, it was nonstop from that moment on, and work was pretty consistent. The next pivotal time, I would say, is when my son was graduating high school, getting more independent. You're not needing to sit there and be pickup mom and homework mom and all of that stuff. He's driving and getting ready to go to college. So that opened up another door for me to pivot into a lot more free time. And what would I do with all this free time? Am I going to work more? Am I going to go into my own electrical business more? Because I did get my electrical state contractor license a couple years after I completed the apprenticeship. So I had opportunity. And what do I do with opportunity? You have to take some time to assess things and figure out what you want to do. And leadership within my union was an option. And I have participated on some of the examining boards and committees that we have within the union. And I saw that as a path, but we know as women working in the industry, we are in the minority for sure. And I wasn't feeling very confident about pursuing that at that time. Now, these days, you never know, right? If the tide is changing, it's pivoting again. I'm taking on this other level of leadership outside of the union, but still very much connected to them in the work that I do, and leading young people onto their careers. That pivot in itself was something that was very scary because I didn't know how I was going to do in front of youngsters besides being in front of my own kid and my own family members that are young people. But to be in that authority position to say, sit down, do your homework. No, you can't. No, you can't go to the restroom right now. With the high school level students, that was definitely a big pivot into some of the leadership roles that's been all coming together nicely and aligning to prepare me for where I'm at now and where I'm headed.
Awesome. Awesome. So much good information. I love this. I love this. Deila, what were some of the pivotal times during your career that opened the door to leadership for you?
So right out the gate, the first thing I would say that was a pivotal time in my career was just saying yes. Saying yes to the unknown, saying yes to the things that scared me that I didn't have, skill sets with. I didn't start out as a welder. I started out in the field as a fire watch and went to helper, got my AWS certification into a structure welder, and then earned ASME certifications as a code vessel pipe welder. So those different certifications were huge levels up for me. They leveled me into a playing field that I knew nothing about once again. So that whole saying yes, getting on the road and saying yes to traveling for a decade, up and down highways throughout the United States to different states and towns that I'd never been just for a job. And you get there and you still don't even know if you have the job until you pass the test. And so there was a lot of unknown in my career. And I think a lot of that was a huge point in getting me to where I am. From there, I took all the opportunities that I could to do the hardest of the jobs that I could. When we had our supervisor meeting in the morning and we're discussing what kind of work we've got laid out for us ahead of the day. And we know that there's a lot of difficult spots in the refinery that we're working in or the water treatment plant that we're working in. And there's welds needing to be made and they're with a mirror or with my non-dominant hand. I'm gonna raise my hand first. Let me tackle that. I want to be the one to do it. And so just saying yes, wanting to explore the unknown and level myself up were huge pivotal points. Why can't I say that word right now? From there, that's led me into being a welding instructor. So that saying yes scenario, once again, just by being open to change and possibilities with the skill sets that I've acquired over the years. Another thing that's changing with my career now that I'm in education and I'm going back to school myself, I've been getting a lot of outreach from other schools, other colleges, universities about career days and about speaking events and just sharing what my experience has been. I'm very non-traditional approach to the field. I never went to school myself. I was never in a shop like this. I learned everything in the field. And so, sharing my approach, I think, is a very important aspect to students because it's not always black and white. It's not always only this way and only that way. Sometimes it's just saying yes and jumping into the unknown, and it leads you to places that you truly don't really expect. Now as a welding instructor, it's such a different aspect from what I've been used to in industry being a pipe welder. And so I try to share those experiences with my students so that they have more of a real world understanding about what they may be, approaching or entering. And so there's a lot of different things in a career path, I think, that can be pivotal. Gosh, here I am. I keep stumbling over. I'm gonna have good talks and laughs with that one tomorrow. But just saying yes to things that scare you, I think, can be a big jump in a career, and change it drastically for you.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. So I'm just going to say the lovely Carol Hagan, she's in Phoenix, Arizona, has asked all of us to smile for the camera. She wants to put us all on social media. So if everybody could smile for just a moment. Here you go, Carol. All right, I think we gave her enough time. Thank you, Carol. We love you. All right, so next question. Oh my gosh. Did any of you have a mentor or a strong ally that has helped you along in your trades journey? And if so, tell us about that person.
Well, I can start. Once again, I learned non-traditionally in the field. And so without going to school, I learned a lot of my skills and how-tos and not-tos from my fellow coworkers. All of them were male coworkers. Most of them I would consider more of like the big brother or even the father figure. They just took me right under their wing and said, "No, Deila, let me show you how," with pride. They were willing to show me. So I had several mentors over the years just on job sites, and just those people that were willing to go that extra mile, willing to spend their break with me on break welding and working. And now as a welding instructor, I'm very thankful and afforded a mentor that I couldn't have been more thankful to have. He's been with the school here for 32 years. So this program is the pride and joy of his work and what he's done for the community here and for the students that have gone through the program. And so his mentorship has just made my experience being a first-year teacher, first-year educator, smoother than I'm sure most people have had as an experience. I don't feel like I've been thrown to the wolves. I feel like I have a very guided and helpful approach to what I've been doing and what I've been learning. So mentorship has been everywhere. I've been a part of a group for the past 4 years now called Empowering Women in Industry. And they're a group of women that are that same scenario. They have the experience, they have the work, they have just the time and the desire to mentor and guide and help women flourish in their careers. So mentorship has been a huge part of my career and my advancements.
Awesome. All right, who's next?
I can go next. I ditto much of what Deila just said about having those male allies and those mentors on the job. That I feel I was blessed to have many great people that I worked with that showed me what they knew. I mean, the apprenticeship model is there for a reason. Most of the people that I worked with had already been through union apprenticeship training, and they knew what was to happen. They knew having someone being able to work with them made their job easier. At the end of the day, we were there to try to get the job done. And I found much success in the workforce that we had to deal with there. But I wish I did have a possibility for pre-apprenticeship, much like the programs that I hear about now that are happening. We still don't have a whole bunch of them here, things like that in New Orleans, but across the nation, there's beautiful things that I see that provide that level of mentorship that I only dream of, that I would have had, that, could have changed things drastically for me. And made me feel even a greater level of confidence, maybe help me to understand a little bit more about some specialty certifications that I might want to pursue, or leadership positions, how to think about that, some other people like me to collaborate with. I think the mentorship portion of getting into the skilled trades industry is a great room for development in that area. And I'm hoping to do some of that work myself with my organization that I started, which is NOLA Women in Skilled Trades and Manufacturing Careers. And if we're just, with the pandemic and everything, even if it's just meeting monthly on a webinar, that I want to do more, and hopefully in the future we'll be able to bring more women in and develop that sense of community that I know will help other people thrive in a way that will help them do their best in the industry. And that'll make it good for all of us.
Okay, Alyssa, did you have a mentor or an ally that you'd like to talk to us about?
I think I will tell everybody that I was incredibly lucky as an apprentice, because my dad was a 20, 30 years, and then all of the foremen that we traveled with were his friends. So they were his age, 50, 60-year-old. I mean, I was the only one they could really dump all their knowledge into. So I would say definitely. I was very lucky to have my dad and the other foreman that I worked for at that time, and just superintendents, everybody that would, take time with me, because they'll say it, and, they don't see a lot of young people that come in and actually want to pick their brain. So if they think you will, take what they're saying and actually apply it, then they would give me as much as I could want and more.
Yeah.
So I say I definitely was very lucky to have my dad as my ally. And then all my NAWIC ladies now just have skyrocketed my confidence and everything, because the way that they talk to me and about the other things, and it's been another one of the pivotal points in my career, because they just I'll say they expanded my ego, but they really, I have issues, I can call the president, I can call Ashley, or not Ashley, Ashley's our president, or Corey's the one that got me signed up, she's the one that cornered me on a job site, hey, you're going to lunch with me, So definitely I would say my dad, and then NAWIC does an awesome job at making me feel like I do my job well.
That's fantastic. And a fantastic segue into our next question, which you just answered. And so, Janelle and Deila, how has being a member of NAWIC supported you in your career?
So I was making mention here at the beginning of our recording that I will officially be a NAWIC member for a year as of March 31st. So I'm very excited to now be completing my first year now with NAWIC. The chapter that I'm a part of here in Central Missouri is phenomenal. Started as a small chapter, and we have been quickly growing over this last year. The events that we've been hosting, it's been all hands on deck. The group is just excellent with wanting to make sure that there's camaraderie and success among us all. I'm hoping next month to have everyone in my chapter here in the welding shop hosting our monthly meeting, and maybe getting them in some welding hoods and showing them the welding side of the trades. So my NAWIC chapter has been awesome. I joined, like I said, almost a year ago, and right away I went to the Midwest Spring Forum last year, which I was only a member for a few months at the time, and it was the same scenario, a group of women that were just ready to help you thrive and be successful in the work you do. I've made friends immediately. I know women from chapters all over the Midwest region now, and that number is only growing just because of the great group and the connectedness that we all have. So I'm very thankful for my NAWIC chapter, and just for the advancements and the opportunities they provide. I'm the safety chair, I'm the OSHA Alliance. So I'm trying to get my bearings and be more of an asset for them as well and help them thrive the same way they've done for me.
Awesome. Awesome. Janelle, how has being a member of NAWIC affected you in your career?
Greatly. I'll tell you, when I pursued NAWIC was just about 2 years ago. During the pandemic, I was looking to make one of those career shifting decisions that I was talking about earlier. And I found out that there was a construction management degree that was coming online at a local university, University of New Orleans. And so I decided I was going to get back in school because they had some online classes, and I was like, well, if I want to do construction management, then I need to try to find some people that are in that area of the field. And I'd like to find some women organizations. And I knew of NAWIC, but mostly up to that point, I was involved with the Sisters in Solidarity organizations within the IBEW and minority organizations within, just for electricians. But when I went to my first NAWIC meeting, it was, our chapter is small. In New Orleans, it's the South. We right to work state. We don't have a large chapter, but it was very welcoming. There was a versatile group of women from different areas. Some had been in that local chapter for like 40, 50 years. I was like, wow, what y'all been doing in here all this time? So yeah, I was immediately sucked into it. Found some good friends. Some people come and go. So you see where people can utilize the collaboration and community that's there. And even if they are moving in different directions at different points, we can still come back and interact with each other later. It's about growing your network, right? So when I first decided to join, when I looked on the website, the annual conference was coming up. So I said, well, it's in the summer. Was like on my vacation time from teaching trade school. So I said, I'd like to go see what the national conference is about, the annual conference. And so I jumped right in, like after going to like one NAWIC meeting, I went to the annual conference. And that was just mind blowing, as far as mentorship. You see what it can do for you in the things that are offered there amongst women that are leading such versatile careers. And just mentorship and advocacy, mentorship and people giving back, finding ways to fit some of this work in their time. It's just been invaluable to me. And even as within the Tradeswomen Council itself, you yourself hosting these meetings for us every month, which has been a way to connect with women from all over the nation and just still get those confidence builders along the way that are showing us different things that we can do within our industries and giving us tools and tips so that we have the tools we need to survive. Yeah. So I love it. I think NAWIC's doing a great job, and I'm hopeful to see the development within the tradeswomen side, because that to me is one of the main efforts that y'all have been making with diversity, equity, and inclusion. And one of those things is trying to bring in more tradeswomen into this organization. But I love it because it's a next step. Like, if you have some organizations that focus more on tradeswomen, there's something maybe that I can get from over there. If there's something about the policy and action part, I can get something else from another organization. So it's really putting the pieces of the puzzle together and finding out what you need at different steps, and just knowing that those resources are out there and available. That makes all the difference for us.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And leaders like you ladies that help show us the way. For sure. For sure. All right. Well, one more question, and then we're going to open it up to some questions from the chat. But I will just share just very quickly. I have been a member of NAWIC for about, I think, 8.5 years. I've been a member of NAWIC. And for me, I was a trades business owner, looking for other women in construction. I knew I was not the only one Like there had to be somebody else like me out there. So I got on Google and that's how I found NAWIC. I found out that they had a chapter in my city, which is Colorado Springs, Colorado. We're the Pikes Peak chapter. And I went to a meeting and I had very similar experiences to all of you. I was just like, oh my gosh, where have these ladies been all my life? I mean, we just clicked, we connected, and it's been that connection, that support and that empowerment, that kind of shot in the arm boost that we need every month by just hanging out these other amazing women and learning so much from them, right? Like there's so many women from all avenues of construction that we can learn from within our membership, and that's what I love about being a member is the connection. So all right, so let's end something on the positive note. So I would like for each of you to share about a project that you worked on that you're just super proud of. You're like, this is, something that I will tell everybody till the day I die that I worked on this project. So Alyssa, why don't you start?
Okay, I have a couple. So the main drag, I'll call it, through Northwest Arkansas, 49. It's a big highway. On the right-hand side, if you're going south, there's Topgolf's right there, which the company I was with did that, but I wasn't on that. And then behind that, there's like a 6-story office building that says General Mills, and it's a big office building. And I ran the electrical for the top floor, so I'll always be like, all right, going south, right-hand side, General Mills building. I wired that sign. So that's one of them. And then if you're from this area, Casey's general stores are a huge deal. So I'm like, if you've been to a Casey's between like Jefferson City and like Little Rock, I probably built it. So I did those. I traveled doing those for like 4 years. So those are probably, those are my prouder ones for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, Deila.
I totally agree with Alyssa. Anytime I would be in a state or a town that I had some kind of work done, you better believe when we were driving by, I'm like, oh, you see that building? I did the piping in it, kind of stuff. So I had to giggle because I agree with that. But I would say the proudest project that I've had my hand in on is located in Pleasant Valley, Missouri. So this is just outside of the Kansas City area. It's actually a 9/11 memorial that myself, my husband, and a group of other tradeswomen got together. And over 2 years, we met up at a variety of times and put together a sculpture, a memorial. We, believe it or not, had a pallet of debris that we were given from the New Jersey Port Authority. They had collected debris from the ground zero area and stored it in a warehouse. And if you submitted a form to ask for it, they actually sent it throughout the world. And the Pleasant Valley Fire Department in Pleasant Valley, Missouri, received this pallet. They said at the time, it was about 9 years ago. So this was in 2019. And they said, we've been waiting for somebody to come in with an idea and create something out of this. And so there was a lot of planning and work that went into it. But if you ever want to get on some social media and check it out, it's an awesome feature. There's a working water feature in it. We had Boy Scout troops helping us. All kinds of stuff came to play with it, but the 9/11 project in Pleasant Valley, Missouri.
Fantastic. Okay, Janelle.
That sounds wonderful. So for me, I would say my last construction project was the Veterans Administration Hospital was built here. I mean, we had an old VA hospital, but after Katrina, they wanted to do this medical corridor. And that was the last project that I worked on. And the particular building that I was in was a lot for rehabilitative therapy and occupational therapy to get our veterans back thriving in their way of being able to function, any prosthetics and things like that. So they have like a full gym, aquatics pool, so they can get therapy and things like that. So that was the last job. And I was glad to be a part of the medical corridor because it is a real redeveloped space in the city of New Orleans. And at the airport, our airport is a rather new, it's built, finished in 2019, right before the pandemic kicked off. We had a brand new facility opened up. It had to shut down and, to get to minimal, nobody was flying and everything. So, but here, I love being at the airport because it gives me more contact with the public in a way, and that I can be visible when they walking through and they stop and ask me something, and I can say, oh, I'm an electrician. And they're like, oh, an electrician, you're an electrician. I'm like, yes. Or they see me working on something, right? And I have a bit more better chance of interacting with the public here. So these are two of my actual favorite electrical jobs that I've worked on in recent times. And while I don't plan on going back to construction anytime soon, per se, like going back out in the field, there are some things with the electrical vehicle charging stations that I would like to take part in.
Very cool. Very cool. Awesome. Well, you ladies are all very inspirational, very accomplished, and I know that you guys aren't done yet, that you're still going to do more awesome things. So I'm going to open this up for questions now. So I'm going to start monitoring the chat. Go ahead and type away, everyone. If you have questions, we've got over 80 people on our Zoom here today. So I know there's some burning questions that any or all of these ladies would answer for you. So type away. Oh, Kayla wants to know. So, ladies, if you can, enter your LinkedIn profiles in the chat so that folks can connect with you, or an email address that people can reach out to you. That would be great.
There's some questions in the Q&A. So Tim wants to know, what is some advice you could give to male allies to better help support females in the industry?
That is a great question. Who wants to take that one?
I'll go for it.
All right.
So the majority of my coworkers over the years have been men, especially in the skilled trades. Traveling as a welder, there were not really other women out there like me whenever, especially I first started. So advice to having a better, connection with male allies and just gaining more support from them is telling them what you're doing, telling them, saying, these are my goals. And I'm here to tell you, they're going to want to help. Whenever I had a question about welding, there was so much pride in saying, hold on a second, Deila, let me show you. Let me take some time. Let me put my hood on. We'll go over here and we'll work on this. And so I think it's, there's a pride in skills. There's a pride in a skilled trade. And so if you're welcoming to it and you're open about the fact that you have a question or you need help with something, I'm sure they'll be there to aid in it. Though I know if you're like me, you want to do it all yourself. You don't need the help. You know what you're doing sometimes. And so sometimes it's just, good communication is a change for anything in any kind of scenario. So just saying, thank you for standing up for me, or thanks for having my back and helping me with that. They can start to see that connection as well and want to build on it too, because they can see the importance of it, I think, and communicate with them.
Very cool. Very cool. Do we have any other questions, Mackenzie?
Yes. So Dr. Harris asked, how do you deal with feeling invisible at work?
Who wants to take that one on? How do you cope with feeling invisible at work?
I'll say a couple things. This might be a really bad tactic, but sometimes just being like belligerently authentic, it makes it kind of hard to be invisible. Like, I just be your freaking self. Like, they couldn't pretend I wasn't there. I mean, you just make your presence known. Put your input in conversation, just be you 110%.
Yeah, I would add to that, just finding your tribe and find your allies and lean into them. And also have that outside support network and that mentoring, because you're not guaranteed to be able to feel a certain way on the job, to get it the way you want. So it's really just trying to find those strategic ways to make what you need, create your conditions. Create your conditions. That's if you're gonna go in your phone on your breaks, go, sit somewhere else and read a book, or, go engage with them. If somebody's making you feel invisible, maybe you want to go have that conversation, because it might not be what you may be feeling, and it may be someone wanting to engage with you, but they need someone to break the ice.
Awesome. Awesome advice. All right, next question.
Gary asked, what affirmations do you embrace to encourage yourself?
Janelle, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I have some. Challenge yourself, face those fears. Like y'all have heard me mention a couple times about fears in different scenarios. I face them all the time. But it's also the good feeling on the other side that you want to go back and reflect on and say, yeah, I did that. I faced that fear and I overcame it, and it wasn't as bad. Um, we're dynamic people. Like I said before, we're a force. People are looking at us and believing in us. And we're leaders. We're setting examples. We're fighters. We're strivers in everything that we do, every time we show up on the job. So just keep showing up.
Awesome. Okay, I see one here that is pretty relevant. Tiffany Miller is asking, do y'all have kiddos? How do they talk about what you do? And she's asking because she has two young boys that think mom has a super cool job and sometimes don't get why she can't be at all their school functions and things like that. So can you share a little bit about that?
I raised mine. I raised mine in the industry. He's come on jobs. He's pulled some wire. He doesn't really want to be an electrician in construction, but he does it sometimes on movie sets and for events and stuff like that. And I think he's one of my biggest cheerleaders over all time. My mama is an electrician. I think it's created a sense of pride in him. And maybe if they don't appreciate it in the moment, just give it some time, and they'll realize that their mom's a hero.
I agree. I have four children. They're mostly grown now, but there was a time where all of them were in functions of different kind of extracurricular activities and things like that, and I just had to have a heart to heart with them and just say, as an adult, I have a responsibility to go to work and make money to provide for us. And sometimes that requires me to work when you are at school or at your games or things like that. And then just having that conversation that, I'm always with you, even when I'm not with you, kind of stuff was helpful in that situation because they hadn't thought of it that way. And so when I just, framed it in a sense that, I'm always with them, even when I'm not with them, they felt a little bit better about me having to miss things because they knew I was doing what was best for them in the long run. Now, not all young little kids will understand that, but hopefully that's a little bit of help for you, Tiffany. All right, what's our next question?
I don't know if everyone doesn't have an answer for this, but what WIC week events are y'all most excited about? Feel free to answer national on your own chapter level.
I'll go first with this one. And this just because I'm a coffee wizard. I've been sipping on my coffee. We have Monday our first event Monday at 9 a.m. coffee hour. And I'm actually not working for WIC Week this year, so I get to be at all the things. So coffee Monday morning. Can't wait.
That's great. I would have to say our chapter's event on Sunday, we're doing a group get together at Les Bourgeois, which is a winery outside of Columbia. And then we're also doing a facility tour on Wednesday. One of our members, I believe her husband works at the company, and he's going to be giving us the tour. So I'm excited to see what this facility in Columbia, it's a concrete business. So we get to kind of see the inner workings of what's going on inside a business there. But just the events in general and the camaraderie that comes along with them, I'm excited about all of it.
For me, my plans are still in the works in some ways. I know the local chapter, we're planning to do a construction site job walk. So I'm hoping I can go if it fits into my work schedule, because I do work the 2 jobs. So I'm trying to figure out what to fit. I wanted to go to one of my partners in the task force. She's having a parade and everything out in San Antonio for Texas women in trades. And I just know she's fabulous. And the whole event is going to be fabulous. I wanted to drive out there. And another exciting event that I was hoping to be able to attend, but I don't think I'm going to make that one, is in Birmingham, Alabama with Power Up Loud. And they do a mother-daughter expo event. And it's got like all these great sponsors, and they can come out and hear from different professionals and tradespeople about careers and skilled trades, and hopefully taking the mother and the daughter at the same time to introduce them to careers in the trades. So overall, I think a lot of things that I'm doing right now are manifesting in such a way that are going to be pivotal come next year as well. And for like apprenticeship day, it's so many different times. Even the WIC week is next week, but then toward the end of the month, there's Rosie the Riveter Day on the 21st. So I'm also looking forward to that. Like, we have the World War II Museum here. And last year I attended a great event that hosted a panel of women from all kinds of backgrounds, because they were celebrating 80 years of women in the workforce. And it was a great panel. And this year they're doing something else that's gonna like do a screening and a discussion about Rosie the Riveter.
Oh, man, that sounds awesome. That sounds really great. That sounds great. Well, I want to echo some thoughts from the chat. Tegan Krabs wanted to send a special thank you to all the men who joined us on this tradeswomen panel. I'm really very, very thankful for each of you guys who have joined us, and your allyship and support means a whole lot. And it's just going to mean even more as more women enter the construction and the trades industries specifically. So unfortunately, we are at the end of our time. Can you guys believe it's already been an hour? It's just flown by. Thank you, each of you, Alyssa, Janelle, and Deila. You guys have been phenomenal. So fun to do this panel with the 3 of you. Sharisa asked if she could start a chapter in Colorado. Sharisa, there are 2, potentially 3 chapters in Colorado. You can reach out to me personally, because I am in Colorado. I'm in Colorado Springs, and I'd be happy to share with information for you to start a chapter in Colorado if you need to. There's room for more, that's for sure. So, all right. Well, again, Alyssa, Janelle, Deila, thank you ladies so very much for taking time out to be with us. And if you all will look in your chat boxes, the 3 dots on the bottom, you can click that and it'll say save chat. So then you can save all of these wonderful LinkedIn addresses and links that everybody's been posting in the chat for your own resources. So make sure that you do that. And until next month, we will look forward to the first Thursday of the month for our Tradeswomen Industry Council. The National Association of Women in Construction hosts every first Thursday of the month. Our meetings are typically at noon Mountain Time, which is 1 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Eastern. And we will be talking about other tradeswomen issues, having guest presenters, but that is our monthly time that we typically meet. And again, I hope all of you have a wonderful Women in Construction Week next week. It's been an honor chatting with the three of you ladies. Thank you so much again for being a part of this panel. I hope everyone has a fabulous day.
It was awesome. Thank you
Yes,
for
thank you,
inviting me.
Allison.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
the
you.
best.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, ladies.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Thank you.